Hello everyone and welcome to another mission breakdown. Let's dive in.
The Dark Kid.
Hello everyone, I'm Skari and this is the ongoing series where I've been breaking down every single mission for the Leviathan Tournament Companion. Today we're looking at Mission E. Let's take a look. Mission E, Taken Hold, Chosen Battlefield, and Sweeping Engagement. Don't forget that as I record these and release them, they will be up for pre-release on the Patreon. So if you'd like to get them early, make sure you check the link in the description below. If not, I'll be posting one every single Monday until they're all done. So here we go. It's Taken Hold, one of the simplest missions in Warhammer. Hold 1, hold 2, hold 3, basically, for as many points as you can. With Sweeping Engagement, which is, the long edge triangle like that. Now the key to this mission is Chosen Battlefield. The thing about Chosen Battlefield is you roll off with your opponent, and the winner gets to essentially put the first objective down, right? And then you get to put one objective down, and then your opponent gets to put another one down, and then you get to put one down, and then your opponent gets to put one down as well. So at the end of the day, the objectives will get placed essentially where you want them to get placed. Now there is a bit of strategy as to theoretically where you want to put these objectives. Something to take note of is that the objective placement will be very different depending on terrain, because a lot of the times you want to put an objective so that you can hold it behind a wall to save your little crap unit that's going to be taking that objective for you and kind of like, freeing up the rest of your army, or keeping them safe if your opponent doesn't have good out of line of sight shooting. Because there's no terrain on this, we're going to go over some basic concepts. Number one, there are sort of like two theories that I've come across when it comes to playing this. And so the general concept theories are, number one, keep the objectives as close to the standard deployment as possible. So essentially, try and put the objectives down in this sort of area. And a lot of the times folks will just agree to set it up that way. So you'd be like, do you want to agree to just set up the objectives kind of like how they are? And then your opponent might say yes. And you're like, you know what, let's do it. And then you could just get up and get with the game. The second one is placing the objectives in a very advantageous position if you win a roll-off. Sometimes used or mostly used for if you have a bad matchup that you're facing. For example, depending on the matchup, if you win the roll-off, you could try and go, okay, you know what? I'm going to try and create some sort of really crazy objective holding thing like this. I think they have to be like 9 inches away from each other or something like that. And, then your opponent goes, okay, well, I'm going to do this like this. And you're like, you know what? If I win the roll to pick sides, because this happens before you pick sides, I'm picking this side. So I have all the objectives near here. The risk of stacking the objectives like this, though, is that if you lose a roll-off, your opponent can always tell you go to the bad side, and then, they get all the objectives, which then makes a hard game even harder. So I don't recommend that you do this, but it is a strategy. You can try it and just, roll the dice and see what happens. So with that being said, let's take a look at hidden supplies, but based on what style of army you're playing. So if you're playing an army like orcs or custodes, you want to try and create sort of a triangle of objectives like this. One objective has to be in each no man's land, in each deployment zone, and 3 have to be in no man's land. So if you can try and create something like this, it means that you can have a crazy amount of power just stacking the objectives like this. However, if you're playing an army like elves or Eldar, you want to try and spread out the objectives as much as possible, right? So it gives you something like spread them out, and your opponent might want to keep them nice and close, but you're trying to make sure that you spread your opponent out in different parts of the table. Ideally, you end up with something like this. It's like, ooh, look at that. It's all spread out. You can use your speed and maneuverability to get onto the objectives. And there you have it, some basic theories about Chosen Battlefield and Taken Hold. Hold 1, hold 2, hold 3. You have a little bit of wiggle room as to where you put the objectives. Spread them out. Try and put them together. Try and keep them as balanced as possible. The choice is really yours in this mission. So I hope you found that useful. Of course, you can leave a comment down below. Let me know of any cool tips or tricks that you know with this mission, and if you found this useful. I know for some of you this is like, oh, well, of course, duh. But if you know someone that could benefit from this, send them this video, and like that they can learn some stuff. Of course, a huge shout out to the channel Patreons, without whom none of this is possible. If you'd like to support the channel, the link is in the description below. And thank you for hanging out. There'll be more videos like this until all of the series is done. And I've been Skari, your grateful host, signing off until next time. Skari out. Ah, the Dark Kin. Bye, everybody.